John Robert Clynes PC was a British trade unionist and Labour Party politician. He was a Member of Parliament for 35 years, and as leader of the Labour Party, led the party in its breakthrough at the 1922 general election. He was the first Englishman to serve as leader of the Labour Party. Early life. The son of a labourer named Patrick Clynes, he was born in Oldham, Lancashire, and began work in a local cotton mill when he was 10 years old. At the age of 16, he wrote a series of articles about child labour in the textile industry, and a year later he helped form the Pierces Union. He was mainly self-educated, although he went to night school after his day's work in the mill. His first book was a dictionary, and then, by careful saving of coppers, he bought a Bible, Shakespeare's plays, and Bacon's essays. Later in life, he would amaze colleagues in meetings and in parliamentary debates by quoting verbatim from the Bible, Shakespeare, Milton and Ruskin. He married Mary Elizabeth Harper, a mill worker, in 1893. Trade union and political involvement. In 1892, Clynes became an organizer for the Lancashire Gasworkers Union and came in contact with the Fabian Society. Having joined the Independent Labour Party, he attended the 1900 conference where the Labour Representation Committee was formed. This committee soon afterwards became the Labour Party. Clynes stood for the new party in the 1906 general election and was elected to Parliament for Manchester North East, becoming one of Labour's bright stars. In 1910, he became the party's deputy chairman. Parliamentary career. During the First World War, Clynes was a supporter of British military involvement and, in 1917, became Parliamentary Secretary of the Ministry of Food Control in the Lloyd George coalition government. The next year, he was appointed Minister of Food Control and, at the 1918 general election, he was returned to Parliament for the Manchester Plating constituency. Clynes became leader of the party in 1921 and led it through its major breakthrough in the 1922 general election. Before that election, Labour only had 52 seats in Parliament, but, as a result of the election, Labour's total number of seats rose to 142. He was held in considerable respect and affection in the Labour Party and, although lacking the charisma of MacDonald, was a wily operator who believed all resources available should be used to advance the material of the working classes. MacDonald had resigned as Labour leader in 1914 due to his wartime pacifism, and at the 1918 general election, he lost his seat. He did not return to the House of Commons for another 4 years. By that stage, MacDonald's pacifism had been forgiven. When the occupant of the Labour leadership had to be decided on through a vote of Labour parliamentarians, MacDonald narrowly defeated Clynes' governmental office. When MacDonald became Prime Minister, he made Clynes the party's leader in the Commons until the government was defeated in 1924. During the second MacDonald government of 1929 to 1931, Clynes served as Home Secretary. In that role, Clynes gained literary prominence when he explained in the Commons his refusal to grant a visa to the Russian revolutionary Leon Trotsky, then living in exile in Turkey, who had been invited by MacDonald's party to give a lecture in Britain. Clynes had then been immortalized by the scathing criticism of his concept of the right to asylum, voiced by Trotsky in the last chapter of his autobiography, My Life, entitled The Planet Without Visa. In 1931, Clynes sided with Arthur Henderson and George Lansbury against MacDonald's support for austerity measures to deal with the Great Depression. Clynes split with MacDonald when the latter left Labour to form a national government. In the 1931 election, Clynes was one of the casualties, losing his Manchester Plating seat. Nevertheless, he regained this constituency in 1935, and then remained in the House of Commons until his retirement 10 years later, at the 1945 general election. Retirement and death. After retiring, Clynes was living in very straitened circumstances, with no other income than trade union pension of £6 per week. This pension debarred him from the Commons ex-members' fund. Doctors and nursing fees in respect of his invalid wife had hit him heavily. MPs opened a fund to help and raised about £1.000. Thus, after a lifetime spent in advancing the material conditions of the people, he died in relative poverty in October 1949. His wife died a month later.